Hey, what's up, nerds? It is Paul at Radio Free Hammer Hall. We got Chuck from Strengthhammer right down here below me. Uh, Age of Sigmar, 4th edition. It is here. We got all of the Order War Scrolls today, and today we are going to review the Daughters of Khaine. I am psyched.
Wait. We're not reviewing. We are waxing poetic. We are lovingly telling you about the greatest army in Age of Sigmar and how these rules are wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, I will give you my initial reaction off the top of this. I was like, I don't have this army. So I was reading through the rules and everything. And I was like, yep, thanks, I hate it. Yep, thanks, I hate it. Yep, thanks, I hate it. like this feels good. And I can definitely, it feels really solid. Everything seems to, there's really nice synergies. It just seems like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Right, and there's definitely, to me, I came into this waiting for this to release, because despite what one random person on Twitter thinks, I am not a paid shill. I will forever laugh at that. That's the swing and a miss I've ever heard one. But I was anticipating this, and my whole thing was I just wanted to feel like Daughters of Khaine. That was it. That was my entire line, and I was kind of prepared for even being below that because indexing can be weird. I wasn't really a big fan of the 10th edition 40K indexing that happened. This came out, I read it, and I am well above that bar. This feels great. I love it. Sure, some points are a little bit high. Looking at you, Avatar Khaine, but that's points. Points are easily changed, and I have no complaints, which I was kind of surprised. I thought there would be something in here that I would complain about. There's things we've lost. There's things we've gained, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, it doesn't feel like there's anything that's trash in here that doesn't have some kind of a role. And as you said, points can be changed. And right now we don't even necessarily know how the points are going to pan out until a few months down the line after we have more tournaments and a lot more games that happen to see if something is something too high, is something too low. And then it'll get adjusted as it always has. So,
right. And I personally, I've not thought through this army as it relates to scenarios or battle tactics because I hate battle tactics. But I'm just feeling through it as an army as a feel. Like I'm going to put models on the table and play the game, win or lose. Did I feel like I played Daughters of Khaine? And it nails it. So, and right now is the best time of any type of war game because we're all getting new rules at the same time. Just go try stuff. I was in the Daughters of Khaine WhatsApp group, and let me tell you, we're all spitballing, throwing out what we think. There's the classic Marathi and Oops All Snakes. That's smooth brain. But it's a powerful list, so people are going to run it. So, but be willing to try everything. And my most exciting thing is I'm seeing more Doomfires in list right now, which is a big thing. But
I really like that scroll. That popped out to me as ooh, this is going to be interesting. All right, so let's get into it. Let me get over to that screen and full screen it so I can actually read stuff. Where is that button? I really should have figured this out ahead of time, but
it's there next to the thing.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just go with this for now. Here we go. Battle traits. So you got a once per battle command ability in the combat phase, and you basically can pick an infantry unit to fight twice that turn.
Now, that's what you read, and you might see it as all-out slaughter. But I am the Kraith player. I'm one of the few people that played Kraith. I have over 100 games of Kraith, and I have a winning record with Kraith. Granted, that's across all narrative games, competitive games, casual games, but I still claim it. This isn't all-out slaughter. It's all-out Kraith. Once per game, any combat phase, everybody gets to be Kraith. Well, one unit. But everybody that plays Daughters of Khaine, you can be Kraith for 1 unit per turn. And there's a little gnat in front of me, so I'm going to swap that away. So this, for 1 CP, it's great. Especially because there's going to be abilities that give strike last.
Yep.
So you might get double swings on a few units here with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely... It's a really solid ability. And if it was more than once per battle, it could get out of control. But doing that once is like... That feels like that's just the right touch.
Yeah, I will miss the rolling of the dice aspect that Kraith used to have, essentially, because that was a nice little back and forth between you and your opponent. But hey, a guaranteed Kraith. But yeah, only once, I think that's fine. 1 CP, I feel like that's a steal with the way we can stack this. So
yeah. All right, and we got the Blood Rights table back. So each battle round, you gain another one of these abilities, going in order. So round 1, you add 1 to run rolls. Round 2, add 1 to charge rolls. Then add 1 to hit, add 1 to wound, and then add 1 to the attacks characteristic in the 5th battle round. And these are cumulative.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'll say this. There's one change to this, and I actually like it because of another change in this index future. Battle rounds 1 through 4 were always pretty much the same thing. But battle round 5 was +1 to your ward save because we have an army-wide 6-up, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is great. But we can get that 5-up ward somewhere else on a unit. It's not like it's everywhere. But +1 attack, it feels good. And just reading the Blood Rights table now, like, it feels like round 1, round 2, maybe I just want to hit tactics, not do much. But 3, 4, 5, you could crush, but you need to have your models left. So it feels like you're definitely that snake hiding in the grass for a few rounds and then trying to pounce all at once.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely like that it's like the slaughter just escalates over the course of the game.
Mm-hmm. It's great.
And as we'll see, there's a way to get that battle round 5 effect earlier.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Battle formations. Scath Coven? Is that how you would pronounce that? Scath Coven?
I go Scath Coven. That's how I pronounce it. But I guess it depends on which part of Akshi you're from.
Yeah. So whenever your Medusa or Khaine roll a charge of 8 or more, they strike first.
Which it's going to be your Medusa you care about on this on.
Yeah.
Khaine, they have their role, but I guess you could throw them in for fun, just for that extra strike first. But they unless you have that one lone hero that you can maybe snipe with, your melee Khaine, but your Medusa getting this, it's pretty nice. However, something else that Medusa can get that maybe makes this a little bit redundant.
Mm-hmm.
It depends. With counter charge and stuff going on, maybe that's where the play could be with this.
Yeah. All right, Shadow Patrol targets any Daughters of Khaine infantry in your movement phase. Roll a die on a 3+, remove it from the battlefield and set it up anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches from enemy units.
The feelings there.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I really want to say I like this, but I really don't.
Yeah.
Because there's a unit that we can take that we'll see later on that just does this, that I could just take instead, as opposed to making it a 3-up. I don't know why that 3-up is there. If this was it already declares Daughters of Khaine infantry. It's not like you're trying to teleport Marathi around her Cauldron. I think this should have been a guaranteed.
Yeah.
And then instead of a 3-up, I think that's a bit of a miss. But there could be something I'm missing with it, because it is the keywords core, so maybe I'm missing something on this that I don't realize. But it's not these top 2. First one's great, second one, not my favorite, but I don't hate it. I'll play it for fun on occasion for sure.
Yeah. All right. Cauldron Guard targets your infantry or war machines that are up to 3 infantry or war machines that are in combat. At the end of the turn, they can make a pile and move, and then pick an enemy unit in combat with the target. Roll a d3 on a 2+ inflict an amount of mortal damage equal to the roll.
This is my favorite. I'm
Yeah.
writing lists for it nonstop. One, I typically ran a dual Cauldron list. I have run a 3 and 4 Cauldron list based upon points and additions. So I love the Cauldrons. I love the synergy of that. Encouraging me to take that is a good thing.
Yeah.
Plus, not to mention the one biggest issue that always kind of exists with the Cauldrons is you want to put the Witch Elves around it, but then the Cauldron might not have room to charge, and then it's hard. Maybe you outcharge your bubble extra armor. But with this, it says pick 3 units that are in combat to be targets. So I can easily, and since combat range is now 3 inches, I can be spread out more, pull it in, and maybe pull them back a little closer if I want to, because I have that extra Paladin move, and then just doing just D3 3d3 damage. Because chances are, the way I play, I'll have a unit, I'll have a Cauldron, and I'll have a secondary foot hero. Actually, no, sorry. I'll have a Cauldron, and I'll have a unit or 2, not a secondary foot hero. So I'll be getting 1 unit will just get bombed with some mortal wounds.
Yeah, and with that pile-in move, you might be able to slide around to tag another unit into combat and throw the D3 on them.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I mean, you can. Can you imagine getting your Cauldron 3 inches closer to that hero, and all of a sudden the Avatar of Khaine's sword can just swing into him?
Yeah,
that could be rough. But yeah, this is my favorite one. It's just it fits how I want to play, and I feel like it's very powerful.
Yeah. All right, then we have last one, Slaughter Troop. Once per turn for your army, reaction when you declare a charge, and you can change one of the dice in the charge roll to a 4. That is the ability that 3rd edition Chaos Knights had, and that is very good. It dramatically increases your average charge distance.
Yes, and there's a lot of you want to be charging in this. Witch Elves with paired knives, because you get the extra rend for sure. I once per turn.
Yep.
That's the problem, because I wish this was clarified to be like maybe just infantry or just something like that, or 2 infantry or a hero. I feel it's a little bit too limiting, but it is powerful. There's no doubt about that. And if that's how you play with those, it leans into the tactical precision style elf play. So if that's how you want to play, this could be the good one for you.
Yeah, and worth noting is that it's once per turn, not per your turn. So you can do this on a counter charge.
Oh, okay. That's little nuances I'm gonna forget about. So I'm glad you're more read on the core rules than I am.
Oh yeah, that's I've been playing Glotkin a lot for the past year or more. So all of that off-turn charge strategy is already worked into my brain and how I think about this stuff. So it's I'm right there for this counter charge ability.
I'm gonna get caught out so hard when I mess those things up. Real quick, actually, we should note the Cauldron Guard. It's actually at the end of any turn. So just one, and I forgot to mention that because that's more about finishing off that unit and freeing up your space.
Yeah.
As opposed to just doing damage. So you do your attacks, you probably kill something. You may overkill something, but yeah, you can do those last few wounds if that stubborn unit's still there. So sorry, just want to make sure we hit that properly.
Yeah. And it's also once per turn again, so this triggers on your opponent's turn as well.
Yep.
So that's a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So our heroic traits, Master of Poisons, end of any turn, if the unit's been damaged by that hero, the target cannot be healed, and slain models cannot be returned to the unit.
For the rest of the battle.
For the rest of the game.
Oh, it'd be... Oh, look. Oh, you got zombies? How cute. That's wonderful. Stab. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not bringing them back now. It's...
there's some armies that this is going to be backbreaking against, and some armies this is going to do nothing against.
I'm sure, because like I said, I've only looked at Daughter's Khaine because that's the only index cards I bought. So there might be something that gets around it with zombies. I'm just using it as an example, but yeah, it's hard to not take that one in my mind. I just feel like oh, that just feels really good. Like I have play here that I wasn't really expecting, and especially now that units aren't as big typically because we only reinforce once. It'd be pretty solid, and reinforcing's not, or as rallying's not as typically as impactful.
I think it depends. Rallying, I think, is going to be a lot better for units that are smaller than it used to be, and it's going to be less powerful for that block of 40 zombies.
Which makes a whole lot of sense, and that's healthier for the game.
Yes.
For both casual and competitive. Because keep in mind, I'm here for casual play more than competitive.
Yeah, me too. I'm not here to go take down GTs. I go to GTs so I can get 5 games in a weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and hang out with friends and all that stuff.
And if I get 3 and 2, hot damn.
Yeah. All right. Bathed in blood. End of any turn, that hero heals 3 if they're in combat. Not D3, a flat 3.
Flat 3. Now, looking at the heroes, I mean, unless you're putting us on a Cauldron.
Yeah.
Or a shrine or something. It's because otherwise you're probably, if your hero's in that combat, you might be dead because you have 5 or 6 wounds. But on a shrine, that 3 wounds back could be pretty impactful.
Yeah, can turn that into quite a tank.
Yep.
All right, and Zealous Order is a passive. If a friendly unit wholly within 12 inches uses the rally command, you roll 3 additional dice. I like that a lot.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, what rally is 6 D6, 4+, bring a wound back essentially.
Yeah.
Of some sort. Yeah, an extra 3 of those. That's solid. I mean, this used to be the go-to because it was the rally on 4+ for Daughters of Khaine, but yeah, it's good. And if you're taking lots and lots of bodies or lots of impactful wounds that you can't lose, it's gonna be really good. I'm still a fan of Master of Poisons, but Zealous Order, like they're all great. There's room for all of them, really.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's one of the things that I have been noticing, not just in this index. It like all of the ones I've read so far is like pretty much every option of everything has a purpose and a use.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not like it's not like the uses. It's a meme.
Yeah.
All right. Then our artifacts, Khainite Pendant. Once per battle, it gives an extra D6 ritual points to a priest. That feels really strong.
Yes, our prayers are fantastic in Daughters of Khaine. The extra D6 rituals could really pop you off much quicker.
Yeah.
However, you do get
that one hurts.
Yeah, but shrine or cauldrons will get you an additional +1. So, but like, you could get real big real fast.
Yeah.
So
Sevenfold Shadow, another once per battle. If this unit's not in combat, remove it from the battlefield and set it up again on the battlefield more than 9 inches away from all enemy units. So once per game guaranteed teleport as long as you're not in combat.
Now, this is good. I'm glad it's not on a 3-up. If you are getting into that teleport shenanigans, obviously you'll take the Shadow Stalkers, which get the auto teleport. You try to do that 3+ for another unit that's important to you. And this will go on to that hero. I would assume a Cauldron, a Shrine, something impactful and big to follow along. And you'd only use this if that 3+ got through. Because once again, that 3+, it's in the movement phase. So you could time to guarantee your movement properly with this. So if you're leaning into that teleportation shenanigans, it's a good one.
All right, and then Crown of Woe, you subtract 2 from enemy control scores within 9 inches.
You said that wrong. It's Crown of Woe. Like Keanu Reeves. Come on.
Whoa.
Crown of Woe. Sorry,
Yeah.
Subtract 2 from control scores. I've not really thought through control scores deeply.
Yep.
But I know I can also remove control scores through other means in this army.
Yeah.
If you want to lean into that, great. For me, like we're building my list here. Cauldron Guard, Master of Poisons, and Khaine Pendant right now is where I'm at. That's where I'm living.
Yep.
But I could see someone else coming on this show and doing something completely different.
Yeah. All right. Spell lore. Steed of Shadows. Casts on a 5, targets one of your units within 12 inches, and the unit can run in charge. And this is an unlimited spell. So you can cast this more than once a turn.
Right. And keynote here, you might be thinking, well, what's the big deal? Well, we lost native run in charge on our Witch Elves and Sisters Slaughter, which just had it on the War Scroll. This says, oh, you can still do it. It just costs a little more. You have to bring the wizards. But now, just Daughters of Khaine unit. Oh, you want to put that on that unit and that cauldron? Sure. You want to put that on these 2 units of snakes to charge in? Yeah, go for it. There's a lot of more play. I'm glad it's not on the unit's War Scrolls natively, and I'm glad it's here because it's so much more powerful now.
Yep. Doomfire casts on a 7, 12-inch range. If the unit that it targets has less than 10 models, they take D3 mortal damage. If it's 10 to 19 models, inflict D6. And if it has 20 or more models, inflict flat 6 mortal damage on the target.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm so happy because this used to be what was on the Doomfire Warlock scroll.
Yeah.
And it was based upon how many models in your unit. And that was so frustrating because as soon as you lost one, it became a gamble.
Yeah.
This is target priority. Am I using this spell on the right target? It's not a skill check, but it will help someone who's using it appropriately. I adore this spell now so much.
Yeah.
I know. Granted, I'll probably play my first game in the wild with it and be like, "Oh, here's a Giants player." I'm like, "God dang."
Yeah.
But, no, I love it. Like I said, we're 2 for 2 out of these spells. Paul, I don't know what to do with myself here. Instead of just taking Mind Razor and forgetting about the rest of the spell lore.
Yeah. And I think it's also really important that all of your wizards know all of the spells and the lore.
Yeah.
So in general, I think the pattern we're probably going to see in a lot of these is that you get spells that are situational that you're suddenly like, oh man, I love that I have this option because I don't have to dedicate myself to it.
And don't forget, Marathi Khaine gets that +1 again. She's back, baby.
Yeah.
She keeps losing that whatever ring gives her that, but she found it again. We're good for this edition.
Yeah. I will never forget that I once finished off Marathi with plague drones sneezing on her. And that just she's never gonna live that one down in my mind.
No, absolutely not. That's a harsh one to go.
Yeah. All right. Mind Razor casts on 8, +1 to rend, and add 1 to the damage characteristic of the melee weapons until the start of your next turn.
Yep.
I mean,
12-inch, wholly within 12. It is what it is. It's never changed because it's good.
Yeah. And casting on an 8 is fair.
Yeah. It was an 8 in last edition. Ultimately, 8 is fair. It's not a guaranteed, but if you get it, you're about to put a hurt on some people. So yeah, we're 3 for 3. Spells are great. I'm a prayer priest person, but you better believe I'm trying to fit that Medusa in anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's 100%. It's great.
Yeah. I really like this spell lore a lot, and that your unlimited spell has a lot of use to it. Like being able to run in charge, it's just like you never don't want that.
Yeah, and it's a 5. It's like
yeah.
Like you could miss it, but oh my god, it's so I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't need any more spells. I don't. I have them. I have everything I need right here.
Yep. All right, our prayer lore. So Sacrament of Blood, this is our unlimited prayer, and you chant it on a 5, so it's a little challenging.
Yep.
So you pick a visible Daughters of Khaine unit within 12 to be the target, Until the start of your next turn, add 1 to the current battle round number when determining which effects of the blood rights table apply to the target. If the chanting roll was 10 plus until the start of your next turn, you treat it as battle round 5 for the blood rights table.
Holy hell.
Yeah. Like +1 to hit, +1 to wound, +1 to attacks.
You take the Khaine pendant. I mean, perfect world. You have a unit of witch elves with paired knives to get the rend on the charge.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. You give them the run and charge ability. Great. Oh, your priest here with the Khaine pendant. Let's throw an extra D6 at this. You could alpha charge with it, 1 unit that could just put a hurt and cripple real easily, or at least pin a unit back in a way they weren't expecting.
Yeah.
Or probably what is the smarter play is you're holding back because you don't want to commit to that turn 3 fully because you're that snake in the grass, and you build up a couple of these since it's unlimited, and you just pop it on 2 units, which with the Khaine pendant, that's very doable, I think, to get that roll. Or just take, because each priest gets to do it, correct? Am I wrong there?
Yeah, it's an unlimited, so you can charge up multiple priests and fire off more than one of these in a turn.
Exactly. So my priest will just build and go. So it's good. That's strong.
Yep, this is that's ridiculous. Let's see. Next up, Martyr Sacrifice. Chant on a 4. You pick a Daughters of Khaine unit wholly within 12 until the start of your next turn. Each time a model in the target unit has been slain by a combat attack, it's going to do. You roll a die, and on a 5+, it does 1 mortal damage after all the fight abilities have been resolved. And then if you chant on 8+, then you're rolling 2 dice for each slain model.
Yeah, and there's people I know out there that don't like abilities that trigger based upon your models dying. And I get that, but this is Daughters of Khaine. If you're putting this on anything, you're putting on Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter, and they are going to die. That is a guarantee. Most games I'm finishing, I don't have any of those left. So what this does, it's a good defensive deterrent ability.
Yeah.
So I do like it. I've always brought it in almost every list. It was not my first choice, but I always brought 3 priests, so it was one of my 3.
Yeah.
And now, like I said, an 8's not too hard to get to. And if I know I'm about to commit someone in and they're like as a sacrificial lamb, I'll throw this on that, and I'll get those 2 dice rolling. I'm going to do some damage back on the way out. And not to mention, my unit will still do work before it dies.
Yeah. All right, and then Covenant of the Iron Heart. You pick a friendly Daughters of Khaine unit wholly within 12. You ignore modifiers to that unit's control score until your next turn. And in addition, if the chanting was 8+, add 5 to the target's control score until your next turn.
Yeah, this is where the if you stack it with that subtract 2 from your opponent, you can really take control like a sneaky way of a control point. That's not really how my mind works with the game. So this is a good one, 100%, but it's going to take, I think the more seasoned player that's used to like the core of the game as opposed to the army to really utilize. But I mean, I said, once again, we're 3 for 3. I think these are all great.
Yeah, these are solid.
Yeah. Oh no, instead of being all S tier, they're S and A tier. Great. Okay. It's still why not?
Yep. Manifestations those scrolls are at the end. So
I hate that they did it this way.
I completely agree.
Like I was reading these and I was like, what does it do?
Yeah. I had to read it like 3 times. I was like, wait, what?
Like you can fit that box on the manifestation data card. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway.
Yep. All right. Let's go. Marathi Khaine. Boring stat line, 5 up save, 6-inch move, 6 wounds. But that's not why she's here. She's here for the Shadow Queen. And she's a wizard 3 and gets +1 to cast. That's a big deal.
Yes. Wizard 3 +1 to cast. If you bring her and you're taking the Witch Elves, or she's putting the spell run in charge on all of them herself without even blinking.
Yeah. Well, I don't believe one wizard can cast the same spell more than once.
Oh, she can't?
You have multiple wizards. Yeah.
There's nuances. Okay, well, that's fine because she probably wants to cast Mind Razor and AoE for that +1. So she'll just choose all 3 spells and be like, you.
Yeah. So her War Scroll spells, Mirror Dance casts on a 7, and that's a big block of text that basically just says you swap positions between Marathi Khaine and the Shadow Queen.
Which is good.
Yeah. I mean,
really good. This is, I think, is a much cleaner and simpler and doable version than the old ones that we had for Mirror Dance, which is just better. I am sad on one thing. I wish she had like a native buff to the army, not like a passive buff, but like,
yeah,
I don't want her to be able to make you shoot in the hero phase. That's stupid. But I wish she had something so like the Shadow Queen is combat beast. That's what they do. But Marathi Khaine is the spellcaster, sure. But I wish she just had one more thing. Like,
yep.
Like she granted, I don't know. I wish she granted something to the army somehow. I wish she just had one more thing. And that's asking a lot. But I played Daughters of Khaine. I'm going to ask for the world and take Harkron when you're not looking.
Yeah. Yeah, and then 1 soul, 2 bodies is just that she transfers all of her damage over to the Shadow Queen.
Yeah.
And then the Shadow Queen. Same old 12 wounds and can only take 3 damage a turn, which is like the big deal about her, really.
Yep.
How do you feel about her weapon profiles?
Gaze of the Shadow Queen, my biggest thing was what I saw was her shoot in combat because it's still great. I love it. Because it's essentially, it used to be, I think, like D6, and it was like, it is what it is, but now I like it a lot better. Heartrender, solid, crit mortals, yes please, all day. Crown of Serpents, sure. It does what it... Actually, Crown of Serpents, that's one I'm thinking. That's a 2d6 one, sorry. The other one...
Yeah.
But I like it. It's all good. It's pretty much what it has been, and I can use that very well.
And then the tail is just a hilarious slot machine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like 3s and 3s, 2 red, and 6 damage. Have fun. 1 dice, let's go.
Yep. And then our once per turn ability... Fury of the Shadow Queen. Pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a d3 on a 2+. Inflict an amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. If any models are slain by this ability for the rest of the turn, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly Khaine and Medusa while they are wholly within 12 inches of this unit.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Like, and this is what I mean. Like, the Shadow Queen buffs Medusa. I'm glad it's buffing Khaine too. But like, I wish Barathi had something for the Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter. But like, that is phenomenal. And we can get more than +1 attack, I think, as we go deeper on some of this stuff.
Yes.
So,
yes. And +1 attack does stack.
Yes, that's one thing I can't stack. This is great. And like, this is why people are, if they're bringing Marathi and the snakes, that's why to capitalize on this ability. It's just phenomenal. Also, real quick note, one thing that is a change for the better, because Marathi Khaine needed to get better. It used to be that based on who took the wounds, like if the Shadow Queen took the wound, she could still roll her ward save, whereas Marathi Khaine, if she got the wound and it passed, you couldn't take the ward save. I'm pretty sure now the way it reads, you always get that ward save.
I mean, both halves have the ward save. So I would assume that means that you get the ward save before the damage is transferred.
Right, which was before it was transferred, and then you couldn't take the ward save because the way it was transferred. So
Yeah.
But like I'm pretty sure you get the ward save on both ways now, which also is easier because that was a weird thing to. And my opponents never knew, and I'm like ratting myself out. But like, yeah, it's the right thing to do.
Yep. All right. Crethusa the Crone Seer.
Yeah, our new girl.
Yeah, you want to take this one?
Sure. So she's 6 health, 12-inch move because she's got those wings. 5 up save, control 2. Her staff 4 attacks, 3s and 4s, rend 1, d3 damage. That's fine. She's not going to be in melee most often anyway.
Mm-hmm.
She sells the burnt offerings. She likes her cauldrons, which means I like her.
Yeah.
If she's within combat range, which is the 3 inches of a friendly cauldron of blood, pick a visible friendly Daughters of Khaine elf non-hero infantry unit wholly within 18 of this unit to be a target. Roll dice. On a 2+, pick one of the following effects to apply to that target. Until the start of the next turn, enemy units cannot use commands while they're in combat with this target. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Prophecy of Dark Wings. Target can use the normal move ability as if it were your movement phase. That unit counts as having used a run ability this turn. Keep in mind, this is all happening in the hero phase, so that's extra movement. But you can't run then, which is fine because you're going to move, and then charge.
Yeah.
And then Prophecy of Reclamation for the rest of the turn. While the target is contesting objective, subtract 10 from the control scores of enemy units contesting that objective that do not have the hero or monster keyword. So that objective is mine, unless you're a giant.
Yeah, good night. You do not control that objective anymore.
Absolutely. And I got, because it came near the end, I played one game of Old Crethusa, and the whole filling and draining of the cauldrons was hard, so this is so much cleaner and so much nicer. It's a very playable experience, and I like it.
Yeah.
Her prayer, because she's a priest, so Murder of Crows. It's a 4. Wholly within 18 enemy units. Or sorry, not wholly within, just within 18 enemy unit. I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
Roll a d3. Chanting roll is an 8+. Roll a d6 instead. And you inflict the amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. In addition, if the roll exceeds the target's health characteristics, subtract 1 from the hit rolls for the target's attacks until the start of your next turn. So I'm thinking those semi-elite units of 5, was it Blight Kings, Liberators, anything that's got like 2 or 3 wounds that you could probably get above that easily, that you're killing 1 or 2 of them, most likely 1, but you're also hampering their ability to fight back. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's really solid.
Yeah, if you are taking cauldrons, she is worth a look.
Yeah, she's only what, like 190, I think.
Yeah, she's 190.
Yeah.
So like as for like especially for a unique hero, it's great.
Yeah, and I mean the burnt offerings are just so powerful, and it's also it's once per turn any hero phase, not just your turn.
Oh yeah. I gotta get used to that.
Yeah.
It's making me more powerful, Paul. Stop it.
Yeah. All right. Bloodrack Shrine. I mean, the damage profile is not especially exciting.
It's pretty much what it has been.
Yeah.
I'm glad the Stayers still shoot. Like, we have a lot of shoot in combat, which is great. Yeah. Bloodrack Stayer shoot in combat's great. I'm a fan of it. We still have our R of Agony, but we can pick 3 different units within 9 now. I don't know if it was, I think it was just 1 before. I never really ran these too often, so I can't say for certain, but roll D3, 2+ mortal damage, up 3 units from 1 shrine.
Yeah, that's like their new favorite thing to put on a war scroll. Like roll a D3 and a 2+, inflict mortal damage equal to the roll. Like, okay, let's use that tech on every 3rd war scroll. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. We have Bladed Impact still.
Hey, look, another instance of that same ability.
Exactly. I mean, to be fair, Bladed Impact doesn't change because it was a 2 up and then you did D3, so now you're just saving a roll, so that's fine.
Yeah. And
then the Bloodrack Stare, it's just you score a hit, so you have 1 attack. You got to roll that 2+. And if you score a hit, roll a number of dice equal to the number of models in that target unit. It's no longer a range.
Yeah.
The range is 12, but like it's everything in that unit. You roll dice, 5 up, 1 mortal damage. Can't pick the same enemy. So you can't double stare if you do double shrines. You can't double stare down. So which that's fine. But yeah, Bloodrock Stare, it's surprising. It does good work. And then I wish so much that when it was on a shrine, they became a wizard too. They're still just a wizard one.
Yeah, but I mean, a 12 wound wizard is solid. It's just a nice thing to have.
Yes, they're not hiding from it. They can't hide from anything though. That's always been the problem with the shrines. They can't hide. Yeah.
All right, Medusa Iron Scale. 6 attacks, 3s, 4s, rend 1, 2 damage, and crit mortals. Like that. That's a solid stat line for infantry hero. Let's see. Her gory offering. This happens after you declare a fight ability. And you pick a friendly non-hero Medusa that has not used a fight ability yet this turn. Oh man, I just totally lost my place reading that.
That's essentially you're getting +1 attack and you get the fight.
Yeah. Yep. So, like first unit fights, second unit fights with +1 attack.
Yeah. Yep. It's good. I mean, the problem with this is you never really wanted this hero in combat because they die quickly, but
yeah,
you throw it in, you get some nice benefits on their way out. I don't hate it. Not to mention, if you're taking the Medusa route, she get her other ability, Wrath of the Scathborn. Reroll charge rolls for friendly Medusa units while they are wholly within 12 of this unit. And she's attached to those units something fierce. She wants to be next to them to trigger her gory offering. So,
yeah, and she's also a Medusa infantry herself. So, so she always rerolls her charges.
Yeah, she can keep up with the rest of the unit to do the thing she needs to do.
Yep. So definitely strong. Hag Queen.
There goes my girl.
Cauldron of Blood. This is Chuck Party Town, so I will take this one.
Well, I am sad to say we've lost 1 health. We've been 13 health for the longest time. My favorite number, also Taylor Swift's favorite number. I guess that time has passed. We're at 12 health because I guess we can't have 3 dice on the table to represent our wounds. Move 6 always has been there. 4 up save, that's fine because it gets better. And then control 5, which is better than it used to be because it used to be control 2 because it was not a monster, it was just a hero. The way it worked. Our avatar still vomits blood on you at a 10-inch range. 6 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage 1. Shoot in combat, which I was surprised to see, but I'm happy to see.
Yep.
It's same as it always was. Melee weapons. Blade of Khaine, that's your Hag Queen up top. 4 attacks, 3s and 4s, 1 rend, 2 damage, crit mortal. Good, solid. Avatar Sword, 5 attacks. That's 1 more than it used to be. 3s and 3s, that's the same. 2 rend, 3 damage. So I will sacrifice that 1 wound for that extra Avatar attack because that Avatar, he's just up there with a baseball bat, just ready to swing away, and it's great.
Yeah.
And then the Witch Elves, Sinisa, I can't pronounce that word. They're daggers. 6 attacks, 3s and 4s, no rend 1 damage. Pretty typical. It's bonus damage. It's extra Witch Elves you have on there, so it's good.
Yep. This throws around a surprising amount of damage compared to how it looks on the battlefield.
It is, and it always has. And like I said, the play was usually, as soon as the Witch Elves died, this would come in, and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
This isn't over yet because Avatar Sword does heavy lifting. Heavy lifting. Even whenever I've had bad dice rolls with it, it still will do its work.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And then the Blade of Khaine, too. The Blade of Khaine used to be D3 damage, so I'm glad it's a flat 2, but crit mortal. Oh, this thing got a huge buff in my mind. He got points increased, too, but...
Yeah, this is... I mean, look,
I
have that up on my phone, so 350 for this.
350, which is the same as the Slaughter Queen one, but we'll get why that's different. So it has a passive, Altar of Khaine. Add 1 to save rolls for friendly Daughters of Khaine infantry while they're wholly within 9 inches of this unit. In addition, add 1 to the chanting rolls for friendly Daughters of Cain priests while they're wholly within 9 inches of this unit. By the way, this is also a priest. It's but yeah, the ward save is nice. Wholly within 9, it used to be bigger and got smaller, so you're only really going to get 1 unit around it, but that makes sense. That's kind of how you ran it anyway. Bladed Impact, we know that. 2 up, do some damage. And then Witch Brew. Witch Brew, that brew. It's the thing that's kind of changed the most, but it's always been great. I've always loved it. The only downside is it's not guaranteed now, which is fine. Pick a friendly Daughters of Cain unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit. Roll dice. On a 3+, the target has a ward of 5+ for the rest of the turn. So you surround this with a unit of bladed witch elves, bladed sisters of slaughter, who are better. It's, you get the 3+. You got. I mean, I feel like I'm Nurgle here with how tanky I'm being in some ways.
You're getting ridiculous at that point.
Right. And it's a war machine, so, for Cauldron Blood, all that. Priest 1, Ward 6 up. So it's great. It's great. I love everything about it. I'm glad I got 2 over there. 2 to 3 over there on my shelf.
Yeah. All right. Bloodrack Medusa. She is a wizard. 6 up ward, infantry, boring stat line, other than the Bloodrack Stare, which is what does that do? The target cannot be picked to fight immediately after. Pick a non-hero Medusa unit that has not used. Oh wait, I am totally reading the wrong thing.
Bloodrack Stare is what we talked about before. You just do damage to the unit size. 5 up, do some mortal damage. Medusa Kin is interesting because it's similar to the Medusa Iron Scale, but they're Wrath of the Scathborn because they are a true Scathborn, whereas the Bloodrack Medusa is not a true. It's a Medusa, but it's not. It's like not fully accepted. So it has a slightly different version of the one above. Pick a friendly non-hero Medusa that has not used the fight ability at turn, is within the unit's combat range. The target can be picked to use the fight ability immediately after the fight ability is used by the unit. It has been resolved. So it's a little bit lesser version of it, but this thing is a caster wizard 1. That's why you're bringing it.
Yeah.
You will bring this not only with a snake army, but I think you want to try and fit it in on some of your non-snake armies too, just to be able to cast those spells.
Yeah. Just to get that 1 extra running charge off.
Yep.
Hag Queen is just the Hag Queen on foot with a Witch Brew and a boring stat line.
I wouldn't say this is a boring stat line. That's pretty good for a hero on foot on a 25 mil base.
Yeah.
They're surprising at the end. They can, especially on the 5 up save, all the 6 up ward. I've had these girls hold up Liberator units, Adjudicator units at the end of the game and tank them off in a few rounds just because of the way they can handle it. But, Witch Brew, it's great. And this is a cheap way to bring Witch Brew in case you don't want to bring Shrines.
Yeah, she's only 140 points, which seems very low for having Witch Brews.
Yeah, and don't forget, Witch Brew is a Daughters of Cain unit. Hero. What? I mean, why not? Heck, throw it on your snakes. Throw it on the Shadow Queen.
Yep. And this is a once per turn army, so you can't if you have multiple Hag Queens, you can only do this once.
Right. That is a big thing that we forgot to call out. That said, you're not just bringing 1 Hag Queen. You're going to bring multiple because you want to cast the prayers.
Yep.
This is just a bonus, and you have some redundancy built in when you bring 2. So that's why, So don't think this as I can only bring 1 because it's only useful. No, you want to bring probably a couple Hag Queens.
Yeah, and it only has a 12-inch range, so you want it in multiple locations on the battlefield too.
Exactly. You just got to choose where you use it.
All right, Avatar of Cain. We basically saw this profile on the Cauldron of Blood already, and Is this ability the same thing as what was on? Yeah. It on a roll a d3 on a 2-up, inflict mortal damage. And if the target's a monster, it does double.
Right. Because officially, we finally have the Avatar Khaine. Officially, he's also a monster now.
Yep.
Hallelujah. He was always that in-between world.
Yeah.
7 health, 3-up save, 6-up ward. He's 190 points, and I know people are saying that's a lot. That hasn't deterred me from trying to add him to armies. I don't know what to say other than try. I don't think he's as bad as people think, and he drops 20 points. He is so much better.
Yep.
So
yeah,
I like him.
His sword's doing a lot of work too.
Oh yeah, his sword does the work. His sword is like the biggest, beefiest thing we can do in this army besides the Shadow Queen.
Yep.
And Shadow Queen's what, 710? I think one of the big things that I see is there's so many people out there that are taking Morathi Khaine and the Shadow Queen auto, and you don't have to do that. And if you don't take that, the world opens up so much. So, not saying that it's bad. Like I've played Morathi Khaine. I've done Morathi and the Bow Snakes. I've done it all. Don't auto pick Morathi Khaine. Try different, especially right now, try different things. I don't think the Avatar of Khaine is that far off in points, and I think he can do some good work.
Absolutely.
And he's on a 40 mil base. He can get wherever he wants.
Yeah, and there's abilities that can teleport him around too. So
exactly.
So he can be quite a problem sometimes.
Yeah, if any army I've ever played, including Daughters of Khaine, if someone teleported an Avatar into my back line, I would be worried.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh no! Now I have to shoot that thing to death, and it can actually tank a little bit.
Yeah. All right, we got the Slaughter Queen on a Cauldron.
Yep.
So I'll let you take away your other beautiful Cauldron of Blood.
So same stat line, same 12 health. Pour one out, I guess. Burning Blood's still there from the Vomiting Blood. Avatar Swords and Witch Elf Blades are the same. The Slaughter Queen's damage is different. It's 6 attacks, so more attacks, 3s and 4s, 1 rend, 2 damage, no crit mortals. That's fine. It's just a different way to do it. It probably works out to be close to the same.
Yeah.
So is that passive +1 to save, wholly within 9, and the +1 to chanting for priest. Also, she's a priest. Where she differs, she has the once per game orgy or once per turn army, any combat phase, orgy of slaughter. Pick a friendly Daughters of Khaine elf infantry unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. So this is where you're going, Sisters of Slaughter, Witch Elves. Roll dice, 3+, add 1 to the attacks characteristics of the target's melee weapons for the rest of the turn. I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
Yeah. I can only hold so much dice in these hands. No. No, it's good. I love it. And also the bladed impact, as you see. So it's 350 because it's similar roll, but it's different enough. You are still buffing your units. It's just you're going to buff a specific type of unit to be more damage instead of more tanky. So you kind of pick your poison.
Yeah, and then if you get off Orgy of Slaughter and that prayer that lets you treat it as Battle Round 5 for the Blood Rights table, your girls are +2 to their attacks characteristic. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and hey, I bring 2 Cauldrons easily. One can be a Slaughter Queen, one can be a High Queen. You can really buff up that one unit to be defensive and offensive all at the same time.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, that's bringing back some trauma for me.
Good. Glad to hear
it. And then the Slaughter Queen on foot is just Orgy of Slaughter.
Yep, same attack profile.
How many points is she? Let's see, 150 to get Orgy of Slaughter,
and pretty much protected because she'll be next to the units of the same type because she's on foot now.
Yeah.
So, and that, I mean, Yeah, because 200 points more, she's on a shrine with an avatar with some extra attacks and extra durability. So that's a steal, considering that the avatar himself is 190 points. So
Yeah.
I like her in both forms. I have typically always ran her on foot, but I'm going to try different ways to do it now. Also, such great use of the old Hellebron art back there, because that's the model.
Yeah.
Hellebron, she stays strong. She's still there in our hearts.
All right. Now, this one jumped out at me as being super fun.
Yeah, this used to be like such a buff piece. Like, it was almost like a totem style buff piece you needed to bring if you were running Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter, because I would always bring 2. Just to make sure I kept my stuff in line. 5 health, which she lost to health. That's fine. Yeah, actually, it's easier to keep mental math on that. 5 up save. Her whip, 6 attacks, 3s and 4s, 1 rend, 2 damage. She has the killing stroke. We'll talk about that one first. It's the least interesting one. Pick an enemy hero in combat with this unit. Roll 2d6. If that roll exceeds the target's health characteristic, it's automatically destroyed. It's good because it used to be you had to see how many wounds you've taken. It was only a D3. Now it's like, oh, you're a 5 wound hero too? That's great. You're dead.
Yeah.
And, now Paragon of Slaughter. Do you want to read that one?
All right. Any combat phase targets Daughters of Khaine elf, non-hero infantry wholly within 12 inches. Roll a die on a 2+, add 1 to the rend characteristic of melee weapons used by the target for the rest of the turn.
Yep. So similar to what her old roll was, but now it's a gamble. She doesn't add any like natural to wounds, so it's good. But that 2+, like I said, it can get crazy. You charge me, that's great. I'll still give my army my unit rent of Witch Elves. Any combat phase, it's always a threat, and 12 inches wholly within is a still pretty big zone for her.
Yeah.
So like I said, so she could be in one combat, killing your hero, which I forgot to mention is once per battle only, but that's fine because it's much more powerful now. She could be in one combat, holding up a hero while buffing your other unit if they're right next to each other. So
yeah.
I still think you're bringing 1. I don't think you're bringing more than 1. I guess you could. I know she's definitely 130 now. She's not the 90 she used to be, but
yeah,
I'm squeezing one of these in here all the time.
Yeah, and this is just again adding to that pile of buffs that you can give to your Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter.
Yep.
Like that. It seems like a strategy that you could probably do with this army is just take a whole bunch of Witch Elves or Sisters of Slaughter or a mix of the two and all the buff pieces for them and just send in like one wave after another and let them crash up against your opponent like one mini Death Star at a time.
Yeah, which that's how elves are supposed to be. They're supposed to buff each other and go.
Yeah.
It feels like Daughters of Khaine, and because it's all about attacking, and occasionally some defenses because you're naked.
All right, Doomfire Warlocks. These guys are cool. 14-inch move, 3 health, 5 up save.
So we got extra health now. All those healths from the Cauldrons, they gave them to the Doomfires, and that's very generous.
Yeah. They are wizards.
Yep.
And they've got their Doomfire crossbows, 2 attacks each, 3s, 4s, no rend, 1 damage. So just a pepper and a few shots here and there. Then their damage profile, not that crazy. 2 attacks, 3s, 4s, 1 rend, 1 damage, and then horses. Then they have a passive ability. Whenever you use the redeploy command, they if you roll a 1 through 3, you can change the value to a 4.
We have light cavalry acting like light cavalry now. It's great.
Yeah.
I just love that ability. I have not looked at other armies yet, but I hope I see that on every type of light cavalry out there. Not every cavalry, but every type of light cavalry. And I was going to say, they're casting... I mean, they're going to cast Doombolt. It is what it is. Like, they'll cast whatever, but Doombolt's what you want to do. Or they'll cast Run and Charge on themselves, I suppose. But don't mistake, like, their attacks aren't great, but there's a weight of attacks there.
Yeah.
Only downside I would say is I used to, for fun, when I was, having fun with my list, I would run a unit of 10. And, they would do their Doom Bolt, but then I'd put, what's the spell where they had fire blades or whatever it was, and run them into combat, and they would do some work. And it would always catch people off guard. Obviously, that's not there anymore, but, a unit or two of 5 of these running around the board, just harassing, screening, just having a good old time. I'm seeing people put them in lists more and more, and I hope that's not because they're just trying them because they haven't in a while. I hope it's because they're actually seem useful like they do on paper right now.
For sure. And the thing that I have always found is, everybody says that movement is the most important thing in this game. And having these units like this that are very high movement and have some kind of extra movement tricks to them it is way more valuable even than it looks on paper.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing a narrative event or narrative battle plan. Those always have something that you have to do that is I need to be over there right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
So,
I like them. I have 20 of them, so we'll get them. We'll get them on the board. We'll get them going. And I saw one meme list in the Khaine WhatsApp. Hold on, I have to see if I can bring it up real quick. It wasn't that long ago. And boy, do I want to try it. I don't even have enough Doomfires to do this, but where's it at?
Yeah. And the other thing too is they are elves, so they can absorb a lot of.
But they're not infantry; they're cavalry.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So you could, for 1930, you can take 2 hag queens at 140 each. One hag queen in her regiment has 3 units of 10 Doomfires. The other one has 2 units of 10 Doomfires and a unit of 5 Doomfires.
Jeez.
I don't know if that's going to be good, but that sounds like a great time.
Yeah. And everybody in combat range attacking now is it rejiggers the math on a lot of units.
Yeah. You definitely have to really think about some of that stuff too.
Yeah. All right. Getting into your favorites, the Sisters of Slaughter and then the Witch Elves.
Yeah, so these are the Sisters of Slaughter with sacrificial knives.
Yeah.
So we're going to see this in elf, 6-inch move, 6 up save, 1 control, 1 health. So what do these girls do? 3 attacks, 3's the hit, 4's the wound, no rend, naturally, 1 damage, anti-infantry, +1 rend. So obviously we can see you can stack that with many abilities going on. Mm-hmm. They also have the Dance Death. This unit can move 3 inches. It can pass through the combat range of enemy units and can end that move in combat. And this is in the enemy combat phase. So we kind of have that 6-inch paladin going on, essentially. We have, that the feel of that. We get a 3-inch paladin, essentially, in the enemy combat phase.
Yep.
So you did all your stuff? Okay, great. I'm going to move over here.
Yeah, it also doesn't have to be in combat. They just get a free 3-inch move on your opponent's turn.
That's true. Yeah. So you're moving up, or you're piling in before technically they pile in because it's
Yep. And also just oops, I'm on this objective now, and I wasn't before, and you forgot.
Right. Exactly. It's great. The one thing that's a little interesting, they changed there's always 1 champion, but you can have a musician for every 1 in 5 and standard bearer for every 1 in 5, as opposed to 1 in 10. And I think I know why this change is there. Having built thousands of Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter, there's enough in that kit to do that. Yeah. That's why they did that. I don't think a lot of people will do that because we're lazy. No. But
I wonder if, I know the musicians let you add a die to rally rolls. If you have multiple musicians, I wonder if it adds multiple dice.
I doubt it. What does the standard do again? I didn't see that.
+1 to control.
That's going to be worthwhile.
Yeah, you're going to want units with standards for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Whoops. Wrong button. There we go. Sisters of Slaughter with their bladed bucklers, so they got a 5-up save instead of the 6. Their Dance of Diversion, subtract 1.
They also have 1 less attack because they have bladed bucklers.
1 less attack. Yeah, well, they're holding a shield instead of that other weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So subtract 1 from hit rolls for combat attacks that target this unit. That in combination with the extra on the save, and they have a 6-up ward, and there's other stuff around that can buff their defense up more. I mean, these are gonna end up being tougher than they look.
Oh yeah. As a Daughters of Khaine player, the bane of my existence is when somebody got a -1 to hit on my army.
Yeah,
because it just neutered me unless I was able to overbuff it. Now that I get to give it out, feels good.
Yeah, feels good, man.
Yep.
Then their bladed bucklers, when they roll a 6 to save, it inflicts some mortal damage back on that target.
Now, they only have a 5-up save, which that's one thing I do like. Since they have a shield, used to be you only had a 5-up save in combat. Now you just have it, which is a great bonus buff for them. The one thing in 3rd edition Sigmar, you always got the roll for that 6. So even if you had Ren 3, I could still roll my dice to try and fish for that 6. Can you still do that in this edition? I have not confirmed that myself yet. You always get an armor save, even if it's Rend, because you could save it. You could, because you could roll that 6, inflict the mortal wounds, and still fail to save. So my understanding is you'd still roll for it, just to fish for 6s.
Yeah, that's interesting and a very techie move.
Oh yeah, we got to take your advantages where you got them.
Hold on, let's see. If you make an unmodified save roll for a combat attack, it doesn't say successful, which feels like it might do it no matter what.
Yep. There we go.
So are you thinking bucklers or extra weapons?
Actually, to be honest, the way these rules have been written for the Sisters of Slaughter and the Witch Elves we'll discuss, I feel like they're encouraging to go back to kind of how they were originally in 8th edition fantasy, which is Sisters of Slaughter with bucklers, Witch Elves with daggers. That's the better power pair, I think. Which actually is weird because I've taken so many. I used to have the metal Witch Elves, and I've been upgrading to plastic, and moving my metal ones back to Old Hammer, as well as gifting them to friends who play Old Hammer.
Yep.
I'm going to get more Witch Elves so I can have all plastic because I need more with that. I only have 1 unit of 30 with weapons and 1 unit of 30 with daggers, 1 with bucklers. So I'm going to be building and painting more Witch Elves in this edition again.
Yep.
Because I really think you're going to do, despite some of the lists I've written so far, I'm writing lists with what I have. I really think you're going to do Witch Elves with daggers, Sisters with bucklers. That just feels so much more impactful than the other options that you can do.
Yep. Because these guys with bucklers, they're just, all they have is that passive buckler ability.
Yeah, I mean, you have the 5-up save, so if you want tanky Witch Elves, you can do it. But when you look at the next slide we're going to go to, Witch Elves, same profile, but 2 attacks, 3s and 4s, no run 1 damage, crit, auto wound, which is great because they're poison daggers. So we're back to 8th edition fantasy again. And the ones with shields have bladed bucklers. And then when you switch to the next slide, when they drop that shield, they get an extra attack. So 3s and 4s, no rend 1 damage, crit, auto wounds because we're poisoned. But Frenzied Fervor, add 1 to the rend characteristic of this unit's melee weapon for the rest of the turn if the unit charged in the same turn, which ABC always be charging. And I got so many buffs to charge, and I can get it's absolutely.
Yeah, these seem great.
Yeah.
Having just a 6-up save and a 6-up ward is totally not my style of army. So I would hate playing with these because they are just going to die in bucket loads.
See,
when you get cracked back.
See, here's the thing. You get used to it.
Yeah.
I remember because from second edition into third edition, damage was ramping up. Rend was ramping up. It was ridiculous. And I saw people complaining left and right or wrong. That's fine. That's what I saw. Like they're like, oh, damage is so much. There's so much rend. I can't do this. I can't do that. And I'm sitting here going, I always get a 6-up, baby. That's all I need in life. I need a 6-up. And the dice gods have blessed me. I may not be able to roll well in everything in the game, but my friends can attest. My 6-up faith saves are true, and I have held on longer than I should have with units because I just roll a buttload of 6s on defense. So I will take that 6-up all day. I can easily make it a 5-up whenever I want to with specific prayer. So yeah, 6-up, it's great. It's all you need in life.
Yeah. And 3 attacks each with crit auto wound in units of 10 is, that's spicy.
What do you mean units of 10? No. You're putting as many in, you're reinforcing this thing. It's like I assume they're still minimum 10, right? They've changed that, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm like, they've screwed that up.
I mean, a unit of 20 is throwing 61 dice with crit auto wound.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of attacks.
You get 2 nice cauldrons. You get 2 units of 20 witch elves around it. You get a hag queen on each of those cauldrons. Maybe get a high gladiatrix in the middle. Maybe a little Medusa, just tossing out some buffs left and right, and give them the love, little kisses everywhere. And you listen. If you're playing Daughters of Khaine, you either win in 3 rounds or you lose in 3 rounds. I don't care which 3 rounds you decide to play in. That's all you got. You got 3 rounds to win or lose.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah. These guys are going to be terrifying blenders, though. Holy crap.
Absolutely. They always have been.
Yep. All right. Bloodstalkers. So these are your shooty snake ladies.
Bow snakes, 1/2 of Marathian the bow snakes.
Yeah. If they don't move, their crits are on 5+
instead of 6, which is solid.
Yeah.
18-inch range instead of 24. So they said they were nerfing range, so that makes sense. But I get 3 attacks instead of 2 now on my bow.
3 attacks that are crit auto wounding. And if they don't move, they're auto wounding on 5s.
And 3 is to hit, 4 is to wound, which I think is down. 1 rend, 1 damage.
Yep.
But thankfully, I'm not shooting in hero phase anymore, so no one can be upset at me.
Yeah. These just seem really solid.
They're where they needed to be for the longest time. They are solid and they are worth taking, but they will not be a crutch that you can lean on. Which is what they needed to be so long. I like them, especially like archers with 2 wounds. And there's only 5 models, but they have enough attacks as if they were a unit of 10 other elves who weren't snakes. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. I definitely like those. They're not like overly threatening, but I feel like they do what infantry shooting should do. Like they're going to be able to like take out like a small hero or throw some damage on a monster or pick up a couple of models out of a unit. It's good. It's going to get there.
Yep. I like where they're at right now. Because like I said, I was tired of seeing Marathian the bow snakes everywhere, and I feel like it's in a place where we can see multiple types of builds now.
Yeah. All right. Canary Heart Renders.
So 12-inch move, 2 health, which is great. It used to be 1, which means they got blown off the board on a breeze. 5-up save, which is good because that save went up left and right, up and down all the time. So nice 5-up save. They have the javelins, 12-inch range, 2 attacks, 3s and 4s, 1 rend, 1 damage, crit auto wounds, and then in combat, 1 less attack and no rend. That's still good. Deployment phase, you can deploy them in reserve, as you used to. Put them in the sky, and then in your movement phase, you can pick a unit if it's in the skies and set up anywhere 9 inches away from all enemy units. So you drop it down and you do some shots.
Yep.
Which 2 shots each, which is much better than 1 shot each now.
Yeah. And crit auto wound is really nice.
Yep. And then after you shoot, you've used the shoot ability in the shooting phase, you can move this unit D6. So it used to be a guaranteed, but now it used to be a guaranteed movement.
Yeah.
But now it's D6, which is fine. And it cannot move into combat as any part of that move. That's fine. They still have a roll. The extra damage or extra attacks, I think, really helped them a lot. Extra health. Before, they were just 2 battle tactics. You would take 2 units of these for 200 points to guarantee yourself 2 battle tactics every single game.
Yep.
Granted, now you still want to take them because there's the one battle tactic where you have to be in 4 corners because battle chores are a thing. So you can still take them for that. But they're doing more work while they're down there, and they're more of a threat as opposed to just being casually brushed aside by some random hero that can kill all 5 without blinking.
Yeah, anything that has that like drop from the sky kind of ability is always valuable to have, like at least one thing in your list that does that.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm taking 2 in every list now, but I'm probably for 110 points for the shooting ones, I'm probably taking at least 1 unit.
Yeah. I keep hitting the down arrow instead of the page down button. All right. Blood Sisters. 8-inch move, 5-up save, 2 health, 2 attacks each, 3s, 4s, rend 1, 2 damage, crit mortal. And then in any combat, you roll a die. If the roll exceeds the target's health characteristic, the target strikes last.
All of a sudden, I'm not concerned about making that 8-inch charge anymore, or 8 on my charge anymore to get that strike first, because I'm just making you strike last anyway. Because I'm just making sure these go into the right units. So let's put this in perspective for the melee snakes here. You're in combat. All right. Let's say you charged me. I have an iron scale nearby. I have a unit or 2 of these blood sisters. Let's say unit 10 of these blood sisters. And I have the Shadow Queen nearby. All right. I exceed your health roll, and all of a sudden, boom, you're striking last. Oh, well, I've used All Out Kraith for 1 CP. All of a sudden, I'm attacking twice with these girls. Also, that Medusa Iron Scale's there to attack and then trigger them too. And then the Shadow Queen's going to go. And then they'll go again for their second round with extra attacks because the Shadow Queen's doing stuff here and there. I'm sorry. Whatever unit you had there is no longer there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
2 attacks, 3s and 4s, 1 rend, 2 damage, crit mortal. It continues to be a solid unit, but I like that it's a solid unit that you want to buff to get the most out of it, as opposed to just being a standalone. Here, go, you're fine. Your bow snakes, or your melee snakes, just crystal touch them and go on. It's like, no, crystal touch them, but you need that support. So they play more into the army as a whole in that play style. If that's the route you want to take with them, which is the snake route.
Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like these are still, like, going the Medusa heavy army is definitely a viable thing to do.
Oh, 100%. 100%. If you like the Medusa army, you can still do it and still have a great time at life. You're just playing.
I'm sure Vince is real happy about that.
Well, I think he will be, because he's also going to be looking at the capability of the army as a whole. Yes, you can do all Medusa build, but you're doing it in a more honest way, because you have to have those buffs. You have to have the other pieces nearby, and they're playing like you would any other version of the army. But they can also just be tossed in. Like, I'll toss one of these into my Witch Elf builds if I can find the points, just to get a strikes last and let my Witch Elves go to town.
Yep, absolutely.
They are good, and it feels like overall, I feel like we're less of a segregated army, and there's reason to take a mix now. Like, I have one of my lists I built that I shared with you is a mixed. I've tried to put as much as I could in there.
Yeah,
just like across the board, and that has me the most excited, that I can be like 3rd edition. If I was building a list of Medusa, I might as well just lean into the Medusa. let them power pair themselves. Otherwise, I'm playing 2 smaller armies. Now, like I said, it's this army is open to whatever you want to take. I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very flexible for sure. All right, then we got our life takers. Let's see, 12-inch move, 5-up save, 2 health. They're barbed sickle, 2 attacks, 3s, 4s, rend 1 damage, crit auto wound. They also deploy in the sky, just like the heart renders do. They have the same retreat 6 ability or retreat D6 ability.
These were always the redheaded stepchild because the heart renders were guaranteed battle tactics and all that sort of stuff compared to these girls. There's more of a reason to take them now because they're 2 health, 5-up save, and they're good attacks. But I feel like they still needed one more thing to put them on par with the heart renders in my mind.
Yeah.
Heart renders I can keep around a lot longer, I feel. Whereas these, I'm still throwing them in. They're probably not going to survive more than a round of combat, most likely. Maybe 2. I wish they had something like a 3d6 charge or something crazy like that. Or had some sort of like damage on the charge. Like give me that 2+ do D3 damage thing. I feel like they're missing just one thing to make me look at them and go, oh yeah, let's consider these girls.
Yeah. And then the fight and flight ability, it's only in the combat phase that you're doing this, reacting to your fight ability. So you have to get out of combat range for it to be a legal move. So they don't go anywhere unless you roll a 4-up.
Well, so the reaction, you declared a fight ability and you resolve the effect of that fight ability. So they fight. Then you move D6. Yeah, so it cannot end that move in combat. So yeah, you're right. Sorry. I see what you're doing now. Yeah. It's if it was a flat 4, guaranteed, like I said, they're too gambly for people to want to take them. But if it was a flat 4, like it didn't need to be anything else. It was just like, or even just said move directly outside their combat range to the closest point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think people are going to take these yet. They needed one more thing to make them interesting enough to take, and it's not that ability.
Yep, I think this is the closest thing to a miss in this whole index.
Yeah. Granted, I'll try running a unit of 20 or 10 of them and see what happens. maybe they're better than I thought.
Yeah. All right, Shadow Stalkers, 10-inch shots, 1 attack, 3s, rend 1 damage, and their blades, 2 attacks, 3s, 4s, no rend 1 damage. And in your movement phase, you can remove them from the battlefield and set it up again on the battlefield more than 9 inches from enemy units.
Now, what's nice about this, you can move them and then shoot them. Because before, the damage on their cursed missiles was too great that if you moved and shot them, it would just be detrimental. Now it's much more in line with what makes sense. So you move, maybe capture objective, harass, move, harass, move, harass, move, harass. So they have a role now, and it's good because they're gorgeous models. And I'm glad they're sticking around because let's pour one out for the rest of the Warcry stuff and Underworld stuff that is now gone.
Yeah. And only 110 points for a unit of these guys too.
Yeah,
so they're a nice cheap option.
Yeah, that's why, like you're looking at them compared to the heart renders.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you'll be like, which one do I want? And that's why maybe I'm not looking at the 7-fold shadow or the shadow patrol, because I'll just take a unit of these for 110 and get the same effect with the unit just jumping around the board as I see fit.
Yeah. This, like, a unit that can just teleport every turn is just really strong.
I have a feeling these are taking the role of the Doomfires in essence of every other army looks at these and goes, man, I wish I had that for 110 points. But in Daughters of Khaine, we're like, yeah, they're good, but I don't need them.
Yeah.
Like you'll see them, but I don't think it's an auto take for them.
Yep. All right, we're finally into the manifestations.
Yay, we did it.
All right, so the Viper moves 9 inches. It's going to 4-up save and 10 health. It can be banished on a 7+. It's got 3 attacks, 4s, 2s, rend 1, 3 damage, anti-hero +1 rend, and crit mortal.
Pretty good.
I believe it was on a 7.
Yes.
Sorry, no, a 6.
6? Okay, gotcha.
And then when an enemy infantry hero in combat with it, it's in your combat phase, or in the combat phase, any turn. You roll a die on a 3+, the target strikes last.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I'm not paying points for these.
Yeah.
But, you know, you get access to them, so you could find a use for it throughout the game, potentially.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite, but,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm glad I have it. I will bring it in my army case with me wherever I go, just in case I see that one lone hero. Oh, there's that Sylvaneth hero left on his lonesome. Let's just go pick away at their wounds with this bad boy.
Yep. All right. The Blade Wind, 12-inch move, 6-up save, 7 health, 7+ banish.
9 attacks.
9 attacks with crit 2 hits.
Yep.
3s, rend 1, 1 damage. If the manifestation charged this turn, pick an enemy unit in combat with it to be the target. Roll a die on a 3-up. Ignore positive modifiers to save rolls for the target for the rest of the turn.
It's like a pocket, like, you know, you get pocket sand from
Yeah.
the hill. This is pocket witch elves. I'm just boom. Here you go. Here's another unit of witch elves on a 50 mil base you didn't even know was coming at you. Like,
Yeah.
This is the biggest glow up I've seen in the Daughter's Khaine, from the most worthless one to one of the best ones. Actually, I have it over here. I could get it if you want me to. It's so worthless that I bought a second kit to make it to be wings, because I used a 40k avatar of Khaine, and I gave it these things as wings on the back.
Oh, wow.
So I can make a kit bash, whatever the giant was, mercenary.
Mhm.
Like, that's how useless it was.
Yeah.
Now, I love it.
Yeah, now it's just shredding stuff.
Oh, you got rid of it. You killed it. That's fine. It's back.
Yeah, it just doesn't go away. And then, like, if you're running Marathi, you get 3 spells a turn from her.
Yep.
And at +1. So if you're running Marathi, that thing's going to show up a lot.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm glad I have my manifestations, because I bet if I went right now, actually, no, I will. Hold on. We're doing this live on air. I'm going to Games Workshop, and I'm going to see if they're sold out in the US, because I bet this, and we're like, oh, I got to buy these right now. Let's go.
Yeah, I bet a lot of them are sold out.
Shop. Yeah, I mean, they don't get them back in stock very quickly, but let's order. Hold on, Daughters of Khaine. They're still available online, folks. Get them while it's hot, before they go away.
Go get some.
Kind of be shocked, but yeah, there we go.
All right, and then finally we got Heart of Fury, which is an invocation, not a spell. It doesn't move. 4-up save, 7 health, 7+ to banish. And it's a passive ability, Locus of the Murder God. Subtract 1 from wound rolls for combat attacks that target friendly Daughters of Khaine infantry units while they are wholly within 12 inches of this manifestation.
Right. So you find your line in the sand, that hill you want to die on, and you put this thing there.
Yep.
And you become ungodly and unkillable with that going on. It's great. I think it's toned down a little bit from the 3.0, but it's still wildly useful.
But that also makes sense because you're not paying points for this.
Correct. Yes. Also, we should keep in mind, you know, we say army-wide 6-up. These all have the 6-up now too, because they can take damage. They're like, nope. There's still 6-up awards on them, on everything. It's great.
Yeah. And that's it. It gets
Yep.
into
Spearhead, which is a
Spearhead after that.
different
Yeah.
beast altogether.
Yeah, I'm going to review Spearhead completely separately from these. So let me stop sharing that window, and then we can and remove that. And stop screen share, and then present, share screen, and window. There we go. That Word document.
There you go.
This is the lists that you had sent me over. Why don't you walk us through these?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I have to say too. I mentioned it. I'm not sure if it was right at the beginning of the show or right before we went live. I was not really like super pumped until I saw all the points and all the war scrolls today, and now I'm super jazzed.
Yeah.
So like I went right into list building, talking to people left and right. So obviously both these are Cauldron Guard because that's what my heart is. I will ultimately play everything else just because that's what I do. I play Daughters of Khaine to death. Like I said, I only bought one set of index cards. That was Daughters of Khaine because even though I have 18 other armies, I know what I'll do, and it's always play the same thing. So the first one I looked at, so 2,000 points on the nose. Slaughter Queen of Cauldron of Blood within her regiment. She's obviously the general. She has a unit of 20 Witch Elves with paired daggers, a unit of 10 Witch Elves, paired daggers. High Gladiatrix, which at first when I was list building, I was like, is that a mistake? You go look, nope, they can be added it as a Cauldron Matron or whatever it is. And then 5 Doomfire Warlocks. Obviously the 20 will hang around the Cauldron of Blood. The other 10 will go with the High Gladiatrix, kind of like screen and do that stuff. And Doomfires will do their screening. Then 2 other Hag Queens with 10 Sisters of Slaughter with bladed bucklers, just because they're good. You know, I can use them as screens. I can buff them. I have, 2 Witch Brews here, so some redundancy built into the list. And if you scroll down a little bit, there's the Blood Rack Medusa, which I brought in with. Could you scroll down a little bit for me? Sorry, my face was blocking it. Oh, too far.
Too far.
There it is. 2 units of 5 Canary Heartrenders and 5 Bloodstalkers. So that's like my shooty end. So obviously the Blood Rack's there to give the 1 unit the run on charge that I need that turn. And then Canary just to drop down, harass Bloodstalkers. Just honestly sit back and protect the Blood Rack Medusa and just shoot. That's the goal. Like little mini bunker for my healer, some two big screens with the Hag Queens, and then like a big block in the center with some extra chaff mixed in.
Yeah, I like it. There's a lot of different stuff in this list.
Yeah, it's a 4-drop, which is probably too many because I'm sure people have already figured out how to do a 1-drop. And if you are that type of person, then why are you watching me talk?
Yeah,
like I'm here for fun.
Yeah, you don't need my channel if you are.
But if you are here,
out solid 1-drop out of this.
Although now that those people are gone, if you are here listening to us, you're tuned into the realness. All right, this is the secret strats they will not pick up on, and and you will ruin their event if you play them because you will crush them. Sorry. All right, next, let's check out the next list I got.
All right, next list.
So once again, Cauldron Blood, but only 1980 on this one. So we got 2 Hag Queens on Cauldron Blood. Obviously, one is the general to get the extra unit. So High Gladiatrix in 1, 5 Doomfires, 20 Witch Elves with paired daggers, and 10 with bladed bucklers. And the Hag Queen is the exact opposite, minus the Gladiatrix. 5 Doomfires, 20 Witch Elves with bladed bucklers, and 10 with paired daggers. The reason I had this one, this was like my first list actually, and it's based on what I have. So this was just like gut reaction. If I want, and this is kind of in the vein of how I used to run lists in every other edition: 2 Cauldrons, 2 power pairs. As I'm looking at this now, like I would probably try and figure out to get the Sisters of Slaughter in with the bucklers as opposed to the Witch Elves, and then have one be more defensive. And honestly, if I was to redo this list right now on the fly, change the general from Hag Queen to Slaughter Queen on Cauldron,
Yeah.
Give her the 20 Sister Slaughter with the bucklers and 10 Witch Elves with the paired daggers. Do the opposite for the Hag Queen. And then scroll down a little bit for me here. And I might have to drop a unit of Doomfires or Hag Gladiatrix on this, but the last bit of this is Cthulhu. Because if I'm bringing 2 Cauldrons, I'm going to bring Cthulhu, so she's always popping her ability off. Even if you take down a Cauldron, it's very rare you're going to take down 2 Cauldrons in a turn.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, I'll probably keep one of those Cauldrons throughout the entire game, so Cthulhu hangs around to do her damage with that. So that's more of like my mindset. I always like the power pair, like 2 big threats that are hard to deal with on the table. So I would probably, like I said, I'm going to retool that. I'll play with it, but I'm probably already in my mind after this, even this talk, just kind of seeing things.
Yeah.
Switch out the blades or the bucklers for Sisters of Slaughter bucklers, and then make one of those Hag Queens a Slaughter Queen.
Yeah.
But I think I can make it work within the points easily enough.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at this, I definitely like this army.
Yeah.
It's one of those armies that I can't see myself owning and playing, but it's like, I'm glad this exists. This is going to be fun and interesting to play against. And I can tell there's definitely a lot of people that are going to play this and just love it.
My favorite part about it is, like, one, it plays like Daughters of Khaine throughout the whole rule set.
Right.
I don't care what style you have. If you're playing snakes, if you're playing elves, it's gonna play in a similar format where you need heroes to buff. It plays like an elf army. It feels like an elf army. Nothing's an auto take, not even Marathi Khaine.
Yep.
But if you want to take her, she's still great. And I think this is going to encourage multiple builds of Daughters of Khaine.
Yeah.
As well as a mixed build where you bring in a little bit of everything potentially. Obviously, if you're taking Marathi Khaine, that's going to be the one way it kind of shoes you into probably be more snakes, because that's just how it's going to be with Marathi Khaine, because the Shadow Queen's buff is just too good. Whereas Marathi Khaine's buff doesn't really exist other than casting spells.
Yep.
But could you also build a Witch Elf Sisters of Slaughter themed Daughters of Khaine with Marathi Khaine, buffing them with their prayers, and the Shadow Queen's just a beat stick? 100%.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's hard to give up the +1 attack ability on the Shadow Queen. But regardless, we're going to see different builds, variety of builds, mixed builds. This is what I want out of armies. I don't want to have to take this to be competitive. I don't want to have to not be competitive. I don't want to take this to have a good game and not get run over.
Yeah.
And this fills it all.
Yeah. It's nice and flexible. There's a lot of different options, and I don't see any one particular build standing out in this to me that, like, oh, this is the obvious tournament winning build. These are the auto takes in this army list.
Yeah, and like looking at all of our, like, it's pretty straightforward. You like reading through this, hopefully you can tell this is what the army does. This is what it wants to do. This is how you're gonna do it. Now, like I said,
everything's got a clearly defined role. It functions well in that role. The whole army just has that solid theme of, like, we're fast, we're elves, we are, your troops are not that strong on their own, but you have your all of your heroes buffing them the whole way through, and they cranking them like way up and have crazy power. But even with the highest level of buffs on defense, they're still fragile. They're still all glass cannons.
Oh, 100%. Like I said, and I think you can try an Alpha Strike.
Yeah.
But I think you're also going to see a lot more trying to hold back for a round or two before you really pop off. Be that snake in the grass laying in wait. I honestly think the biggest detriment to this army, as far as its capability for winning events, if you want to take that approach, scenarios, this army will play it wants to play. The biggest thing I think that will be in the way of Daughters of Khaine winning events is going to be the battle chores, because I think the order tactics are going to be detrimental to how this army wants to play in some ways.
Yeah.
I haven't quite figured out because I've not thought deep about it, but there's probably going to be like a very specific way you have to do your tactics potentially to score them. So, whether that's, you do that, what Vince said, where you kind of like play up, get the underdog, and then just crush. But I think the battle tactics will be the thing that holds this army back the most, which sucks. Like no one I know talks highly of battle tactics.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're still here is a detriment. And I think other armies are going to have the same issue, not just Daughters of Khaine. I'm sure everyone is going to have that to some point.
Yeah.
So that's the only downside. The downside of this army is I have to play in a world of battle tactics at events. Granted, when I'm playing with friends locally, we just ignore those anyway and have a good time. But we're usually not even, whatever. So.
Yeah. It seems like this one's going to be a lot of fun. And
yes,
who
it's going to be
knows?
great to play regardless.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So any closing thoughts for you before we sign off? I feel like you just kind of gave us the closing arguments.
I kind of did, but tell you what, while we're at the end, I'm going to give a little shout out, not to a channel, not to anyone, because to be fair, I'm kind of sick of the way they marketed 4th edition. The influencers went a little hard, and I was a little annoyed with seeing my feed just full of some of this stuff. So I'm going to go something completely different. Within the next month, I'll be donating all this glorious hair to a charity that I think everyone should take a look at if you have long hair and you want to donate, or just donate money, called Children with Hair Loss.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was looking, at first I was going to do Locks for Love, but then I found Children with Hair Loss through my sister because she had donated to them before. They give wigs from donated hair to children at zero cost.
Oh,
and
wow.
And that is huge, and especially in this day and age when money's tighter, let alone you're going through something that, like a chemo or cancer, and go to just Google Children with Hair Loss and go to the webpage and see the kids smiling, and you'll be like, I want to grow my hair out and give it to them, because like it's gonna make you cry, because it's so good. So I'm gonna spruik something like that, and I want everyone out there that go be nice in the world, go lift weights, ignore battle tactics, and have fun with Warhammer.
Hell yeah. Oh, and before I completely forget about it yet again, check down in the video description for a link and discount code for our lovely channel's sponsor, Dice Tray Depot. They make awesome dice trays with whatever you want on them, and they're nice quality. They're all I use. I love them.
Yeah, it's great. Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and I will see everybody else again tomorrow for another one of these reviews. And I hope that this doesn't kill me. All right, see you all later.